You hear things when you stay quiet long enough. Conversations about process, about craft, about why people do this at all. So I listened.
It's cool that these companies are experimenting with new mixtures of silicone and so forth. Like, for example, Zelix and their SLE, which unfortunately what might not have been the best choice. If these companies don't innovate and experiment with different mixtures of silicones and even TPEs for that matter, then we're just stuck in this void. And I have seen, and Rebel has seen in the last couple of years at least, the innovation has just skyrocketed. And I predict that very shortly, like within a year or two, probably, we're getting very close already, where a lot of these dolls right out of the box are pretty much very close to perfect. And, that was unheard of, 2, 3 years ago. So something has, improved. And I'm really impressed with what I've seen in the last couple of years. And I think that the scanning of real humans was a really big factor for a while there. Not necessarily something that was necessary, because in all honesty, not all of us Americans, for example, want a doll that is shaped like the average, you know, Chinese woman is. Maybe we want a little more ass in the rear end, So that may not be a huge factor, but just that alone was a huge step forward. And then we went to the skin technology, where now they'll have an actual person sit there. And I did an article on CoverDoll about this, where they have a person actually sit there and they put this special, I don't know if it's silicone or what it is, probably over them, and then it cures and they peel it off and it leaves the imprint. And then they scan it into a computer and piece it together and make a mold somehow out of that. And then that's how a lot of these dolls, when you look at, if you could see this doll up close, it actually has real human skin texture on it. Does that make the doll better? No, it doesn't make the doll better, but it makes it more realistic. And you're going to have a wide variety of customers. And one person may not give a rat's ass about how, beautiful the doll is. All they care about is, how sexually good it is. And then the next person, like me, for example, wants a doll that's gorgeous and wants to photograph it. So I think what's got to happen in the future is, I think we need to find this happy medium where everything balances between how nice the doll looks, to how well it performs, to how well it poses for photography. And I think we still have I hate to say this, a lot of you might disagree with me, but I think we have a long ways to go with skeletal technology. I just don't think it's where it can be. You got a lot of this, carbon fiber, and I just don't think that's going to solve the problem. Sure, it might
say that the carbon fiber. Yeah.
It might make the doll a little lighter, but I just don't think it's going to solve the actual issues that we have with the skeletons at this particular point in time. So I think right now, with realism, a lot of the newer manufacturers that I've been doing my articles with, like we were just saying, Fun West, SE, Zelix, a lot of the big brands already have the human scans. They already have the high realism skin details. The articulated hands have been out for years now, and I was really quite shocked that it took FunWest so long. They just announced they're coming out with articulated feet, and I think they're just a wire-based foot, but at least it's something. The floppy toe syndrome thing has been an issue for years. Of course, if we take still photos, who cares? But I think that I think the way of the future is not necessarily keep pushing this envelope of let's see how soft we can make silicone, and instead let's work on durability of the material and the skeleton. That's what I think is going to happen here in the next year or so. Is we're going to start to see improvements in durability, because that's really what we need.
I think as far as like the visual aspects go, that's kind of been like the part that's like pushed the furthest, I guess, is how good it can go, and then the other parts kind of need to catch up. So we might see sort of like, the doll manufacturers have really mastered sort of like the physical realism as far as like the skin texture and stuff like that. And then they might look to maybe, their friend has a factory that does sort of like maybe AI or robotics, stuff like that. And they might, instead of trying to develop that technology on their own, they could basically just work together and, take the parts where other people are ahead and then incorporate it in their own. So I think we'll see more, hopefully. And yeah, instead of trying to create everything on their own, they can just take from what other people are already doing well and incorporate it. And that can maybe increase the pace. But I do say I agree with you as well, from being, on the factory floors, most of the work I see now is on the skeleton. I see a lot of prototype skeletons, the different joints, different materials. Yeah. The carbon fiber is interesting. I come from a hockey background, so like all the sticks are carbon fiber as well, and certainly strong, but definitely flexible.
And lightweight, of course, a little bit. It does shave off a little bit of weight, right?
Yeah, a few kilograms for sure. Yeah. But definitely worried about the long-term durability of just the flexing, and maybe, I'm not sure, I'm not an expert on it, but the fusing of like the metal joint to the carbon fiber, I'm not sure.
Exactly.
You think it's going to splinter one way or another? Because that's something that I have fear of as well. It's like as soon as you start moving it around, it starts like breaking eventually over time, and it starts splintering. And I know, because I come, of course, from cars and drifting and cardboards and stuff like that. I have seen how carbon fiber just can explode if it's like under pressure or whatever. But how do you look on that, Brian? Because I think you've seen the carbon fiber skeleton in action a couple of times before, I think.
Yeah. And of course, they're quite new, so everything looks good when it's new and shiny. And it's one of those things I think time will tell. Just under, because they can run. I know, like, this is not the carbon fiber skeleton, but Zelix is working on a new type of joint, and they basically hooked it up to a machine where it would, move it like 1,000 times, to like mimic like real life use. So they would do like, 1,000 moves, and then I take it off. And then after 1,000 moves, does it still have its posability? So they are doing like, durability tests like that, but it's hard to mimic the actual way people use.
Or for the durability test, are they doing it with just like the skeleton itself, or is it like a doll?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I feel that with like, I guess like the doll's flesh, it puts a lot of weight and strain onto the skeleton.
Exactly, I have to agree with you.
If they're just testing like the skeleton by itself, I feel like it's not experiencing like the strain of like the extra I guess like silicone flesh or TP flesh that on the body.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I'm not sure. I just saw like the statistical reports, so I didn't see exactly how they set it up.
Because I've got two of my sea dolls. Well, it's two bodies. Had like the spine breakage, and
Yeah.
I feel like they could improve on like durability on that. And I think the first time it happened, for me, it was probably because I left her in like her legs in like a V pose, spread apart and just kind of like dangling in the air. That probably put like a lot of strain onto her like spine or something, and that's probably why my first one broke. The second one was probably my own fault, but I will skip that part.
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah. No,
can
but
you elaborate on how they broke? Like how specifically they broke? Do you know?
It's the spine, so it's where I think it's like the on the part where they weld the joints together.
Yeah,
yeah.
Down down by the hip area.
right.
Yeah, that's and I actually worked real close with FunWest on that, and I sent him photos, and I said, "You see this point right here?" I said, "This breaks." I used to be a welder, and I said, "You need to put angles, 90-degree angle metal pieces in there and weld
Take the
those."
strain off. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, and they actually put like metal pieces in there now to try to fix that problem. So yes, Michael, you're correct. That's definitely a failure point, and that's where we're at. It just needs to be innovated.
Yeah.
And the other downfall is that the majority of the joints that are used in the dolls today are still exactly the same as they've been for forever. It's just a friction joint. It's like a U joint with a bolt through it. I mean, nothing's innovated there at all. I think the biggest innovation in joint technology that I've seen yet was the geared joint, where the two gears come together, because basically what you end up with is a bolt on each side, and they share the friction from both joints. So if one, that's a downfall too. If one wears out, then the whole joint's loose. But kind of. But I think that was. I believe Xelox was one of the first companies in the knees, came out with it in their knees, where they had the basically a U joint and a gear in the middle, like that.
Right.
And it was supposed to add to the realism, when in all reality, it added to the way the friction reacted when you bent a joint. And I honestly think that's been probably one of the best innovations in the skeletons in the last 5 years, probably.
And yeah, I think when it comes to the consumer aspect and people that film with these products, I think it's very much the companies that get the most respect are the ones that are the most transparent. And I think the ones that truly innovate instead of being stylish tend to garner a more loyal fan base and a more like wholesome community. Because I've seen companies we have this and we have this. And then 3 other companies are like, we have this and we have this. And that creates a lot of confusion for the consumer, because they're like, well, this is $500. This is cheaper, but this company has better reviews. And then you have the argument of people with like AI reviews or review bots, and it just gets really complicated. So I think the easiest way for companies to prove they're innovating, to prove that they're putting in the work, is innovating. And I think that's really awesome when I see companies have advancements, companies have a new formula, companies have a new like makeup set for ROS heads. I think that's great. And I think that it's always showing. And I think that's awesome.
We don't want no fake flexibility. We want real flexibility.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it's funny, because what you were talking about is Xelox just recently. I was talking to Rebel about it. Their Fusion line, and I get a lot of IMs in personal messages all over the web. I mean, I'm everywhere about the Fusion, and they're like, "So when is Xelox going to release a new body? When are they going to release a new body and a new head? I don't like the body. I don't care for the body. I'd like a different body." And so I get where you're coming from there. It's like, maybe they should have held off just a little longer until they had more options, because that's what sells these dolls, is definitely the options. And I give Zelix props for that right now, because I'll tell you right now, when I put in my order for my last 2 Zelix, for this one here, the Inspiration 2.0 and the Fusion, the amount of options was absolutely asinine. I couldn't believe it. It took me an hour to fill out the damn order form. I mean, everything. I was just amazed at vaginal depth, vaginal size, vaginal this, all the textures, and what do you want for a skeleton? Like 2 different skeleton options, and you name it. I mean, they're offering it now. I'll tell you, what dolls that I have. I've got 20 dolls or so. I'll tell you what's good and what isn't. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. But the thing of it is like I said, man, with the AI chat technology and stuff coming out, oh yeah, future's looking pretty bright right now for these dolls. I have a question for you, Omen.
Yeah.
You are more into the sexual aspects of these products, correct?
So technically, no.
Oh no.
No. So you can tell probably. The way I got into it was on accident. So I saw someone tattooing a doll.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, but he failed to do it. And I can tattoo. So I said, this guy just tried to get a free sex doll. Like, this guy's like, everyone has a motive. I get it. And I was like, yo, I'm going to reach out to this company and be like, dude, I can absolutely tattoo a doll. I can do that. That's super easy. I was drunk. I didn't know he was actually going to send me one. So, like 2 weeks later, I get this huge fucking box, and the company's like,
I don't love those boxes. I got a whole lot of those in the garage.
And
Same.
There's like 58 staples in it. And I'm like, oh shit, I have to actually tattoo this. So I tattoo it. I send a video to the company. I'm like, you can tattoo it, because they were curious. They're like, people want tattooed dolls. Is it possible? And I said, yes. I tattooed it. I have a bunch of videos with it, and I tattooed it. And I took B-roll, I took footage, I took photos and everything. And the guy was like, wow, that's really good. That's like, your cinematography is good. You can tattoo it, and you should definitely upload it to get us promotion. And I'm like, okay, fine. I upload it to Pornhub, and I get like $10 on it in like a month. And I'm like, okay, but what if I get involved in some kind of way? That could get like $11. So I do that, and right away it was just my first time using it.
So you do videos sexually with these dolls?
Yes.
Okay, so the question I have is, do you have, or have you had the chance to try out any of these new multiple pore vagina dolls?
I don't think so. There's just one hole usually.
Really? No, I'm talking about what they're doing now is they're making this extremely soft insert out of this like almost pink material. It's a very soft silicone, and they center that into the dolls, in along with the foam and the skeleton and everything when they put it in the mold. Mm-hmm. And then they pour the mold over top of that. Mm-hmm. I am to the point right now where I would have to say that buying a TPE based doll, just because I think it's softer for sexual use, is pretty much to the point of null right now.
Right. Yeah. The thing that I immediately started to experience with that is filmed it, and it did well. So he said, awesome. If you want to make money doing this, you can. And at the time, I didn't have a lot of money. I actually have a pretty bad back injury, and I actually not sued, but I had a claim against the company I got hurt at. And after that, I technically can't work certain jobs. So I was like, yeah, sure. I haven't, I didn't graduate high school, so this is probably exactly what I should be doing. And eventually, just, one video a week, just kind of doing it, it started to do very well. And other companies noticed, also sent products, but it was such an influx of different things, of TPE, silicone, handheld, full, half, there's even a quarter. And it very quickly became overwhelming to the point where I've maybe thrown out like 15 products because I just don't have room. And it very quickly became overwhelming. But in terms of going back and forth and learning about products, that has been the SFW aspect of my content, because I also help people that are starting. They have questions of like TPE versus silicone.
Oh yeah.
How I film, how long should I wait before I clean it? I always say immediately, because you never know. And it's been interesting because I sort of went right into it filming and then backtracked learning of like how things work in the industry and certain types of just products and demographics. So in terms of filming, it's been purely the very beginning, just a financial aspiration because I had to, because I put myself in a funny position. I was like, fuck it. And then eventually I was like, okay, fan base, starting to learn how different communities work, how companies worked, how representatives worked, and the fans and the people and answering people's questions. It very much quickly became wholesome. So it was just strange because in the back of your head, if you're not involved, you think this is like a big scary thing, or it's like a degenerative thing. I think that's a disc, not people. But you have this expectation, it's scary. And very quickly, everyone's been nice, which is cool, which is super cool. And it's been very much like in my personal use, I don't use them because I film with them. But if I hadn't been filming with them, I could see myself being someone that would use them. And it's a very interesting psychological thing, because I definitely have had funny moments where I'm cleaning one. I'm like, you pick it up, bring it to the tub, you don't step on your cats, you're cleaning it out quickly. And you're like, oh, this is kind of cute. We're kind of like giving you a bath. And I'm like, what the fuck? And you clean it, you use a drying stick and you put it down and you're like,
what you need to understand is that whether you like it or not, you are a staple in the sexual use of these dolls. And people are going to look up to you and appreciate your input on how good they are, whether or not you use them on a regular basis or not. That's just because of the situation that you've put yourself in. Maybe you're nothing like that at all.
Well, the thing with the situation is that I feel it very much it kind of is the best way to do it. Because the thing that I found that makes me stand out is that there are people that film for gratification and there are people that film for vanity. And I totally understand that. Like, and it's something that I commend people for. Like, that's awesome. And the way that I film, I very much, because I used to be in bands and film music videos, I very much film in an artistic way. And I super listen to my fan base. It's mostly women, but I do make sure that I have the male perspective of.
So you're telling me the women actually enjoy watching you have sex with these dolls?
Yes.
Yeah, that's quite surprising. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, if you.
Well, son of a bitch, I'm in the wrong industry. What the hell's the matter with me?
Here's what I'll say. You can watch if you want. Just make sure we never talk again. But
no.
I'm kidding. But there's for women and men, because for me, I very much wanted to understand the demographic, because I'm a very purposeful person. Like, you think I have all these candles up for nothing. And it's for women like aesthetic. Men like a sense of dominance and a sense of alpha and ego. That's just in our brains. Women like the cozy kind of feeling. Like, I guarantee you every dude here, one of their top 10 favorite porn videos is like 240p. Like, I swear to, like, I'm sure there's a couple of them. They're the lowest quality, the dog shit video, but it's your favorite. Women on average seem to be like, oh, I love this one because it's so cute and it's great. And he wears his shirt. Like, your favorite video, you have no idea what she's wearing. You probably know her name, but men are simple. Women like this kind of stuff.
Well, I think going back to, I think OmenBunny, you brought it up, just the whole transparency thing. That's as far as like where we're headed, I think too. The more transparent, anyone on the sell side can be, whether it's manufacturers or a reseller, obviously it's for the best long term. And I think we'll see, especially manufacturers on the China side have struggled with that in the past, just probably cultural and language and technology divide. But I think now, the younger Chinese people are becoming more involved in the industry and they're more savvy with that stuff and more global minded. So I think we'll see a lot more information come directly from manufacturers in a very digestible form and understandable form. So it'll be, I think that's kind of where it's headed. You can already see some more future-minded companies, maybe like Iron Tech. They've got huge, maybe like SC Doll and Funwest Doll with their community building as well. But they've got a lot of people on the marketing side and like young people that are quite tech savvy and can share information directly from the company itself rather than sort of only sending it to resellers and then the resellers maybe some stuff gets lost in translation or doesn't get put out. So I think the best thing that people on the sell side can do is just be as transparent as possible.
So my question is, do you feel that these companies are in any way threatened by Amazon products, or do you feel that it's all kind of the same thing?
I think resellers might. Well, in my opinion, I think the whole reseller model is kind of unnecessary now that the manufacturers are getting better themselves, and you can easily just go buy the doll on their website too. So
which I honestly tell people to do. I hate.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't want to be the asshole that says, "Hey, don't buy from this reseller."
Yeah, I mean, if the reseller's, answering all your questions and providing value, and you trust them, then of course, probably buy from them rather than. But yeah, I think if you're browsing, you should totally consider buying from the official website as well. And then, I think sometimes they have their higher prices on their own website, but I think if you reach out to them and, they'll give you the reseller price.
Actually, I tried once to, someone I knew, he was trying to buy a doll or something. And then I asked him if he wants to buy from the manufacturer's website, but over at like a vendor, it's cheaper. So I told him to just go ask the manufacturer to match the price from the vendor. And they actually refused them.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know why, but they refused them.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that is, I guess
there's always something to be said about, going to the source of, the maker, in this case, the brand and the factory and all that stuff. But a vendor is, of course, for example, for people like me, I live in Europe. So the sending it over is going to take a very long time because, you got the train, you got the truck, you got the airplane, you got multiple stops in between, you got the warehouses in Europe, whatever. So I do always the same thing as John said. I try to get people to buy pretty much directly from the maker, the brand. But, people that live far overseas, the vendor gives specific, safety nets for if something happens to the doll regarding insurance and everything. So that's why the prices sometimes are higher, of course. But, it depends on what you want to do. I've had problems in the past before where I rather buy from a vendor than the manufacturer themselves because the damage was so big when eventually specific lady came in. Like there's the video that is on my YouTube channel that has almost 2 million views, not to brag, but it's one of the worst videos that I have actually, because that Tifa doll that came in from Game Lady was so butchered by the shipping company that the vendor, which was Sexy Melina at the time, said, we're not going to let this go. We're going to get you a new body. And eventually I got a brand new body that was completely unscathed. So there's something to be said about vendors and brands or manufacturers, of course. So
the thing of it is that it's funny because I don't know how bad the box was, but I won't mention anything, but I got, I have two of them now, and one was pretty bad. But I got an STPE when they were first pushing it from WM. I got a dowel, and the pucks was flawless. And I opened it up, and I figured the dowel was going to be perfect. And I could tell right off the bat that it had been opened, and probably at customs.
Customs, yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely, that's where Brian can step in and talk about probably the insurance policies. How does that work over in China?
Yeah, I think they would get it through like their freight forwarder. They'll have kind of like a shipping partner that would probably insure I get the full or partial value of the doll, but it's still like those policies are sometimes hard to, there's a lot of fine print and ways to maybe not get full coverage, but like any good reseller or manufacturer should, in any case, like it should all be baked in. Like, that if you ship X amount of dolls, a certain percentage are going to arrive damaged, unfortunately. So, you should bake that into the total cost so that you can just replace them at cost, even if insurance doesn't cover it. So yeah, I think that's another.
Are there actually crates full of them, like the incident that just recently happened in California where they all fell in the ocean?
Yeah, I mean, when they're restocking the big USA warehouses, they're shipping full pallets of boxes and dolls, which will go.
We're talking like thousands of dolls.
The containers, yeah. They might have partial containers or like one container, but at least hundreds would be in one boat for sure. If it's a big like restock, like I know I was at the newer brand MD Doll, their factory last week, and they're shipping out a bunch to like fill the warehouse for like the first or second time, and yeah, it's like 100+ dolls all going over at once. So if anything happened to that crate, they would be. I'm sure they would. I'm sure they would want insurance on that.
I haven't had any issues, but I've read reviews where there's certain issues that just never got resolved. Because as customers, this is a lot of money that you're kind of like investing into like this doll that's gonna you're thinking of bring her to be part of your life and to kind of like have to lose out on it because there's just certain issues involved or so. So I do think if most vendors who are reputable and they get a lot of like recommendations from customers or so in the community, usually they're the ones who are kind of like taking a financial loss whenever something goes wrong. But on the flip side of that, that creates like a positive experience for them where the people would start kind of like recommending them over like the others, their competitors, basically. I think that's kind of what everybody should strive towards. Because if you take a loss now, but you gain that reputation or something, it's going to translate to more sales in the future, more customers running to you.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
You want consistent buyers.
So it's a decision they'll have to make, and it's really up to them. So that's my take on it.
Has anyone ever had issues with like heat temperature issues? Because I know when I got a product from Goya, which is spelled Goyha, they gave me shit for it on a title, but they sent me a product, and for me it's different because sponsored content, I don't pay for content. They send me the product, I record, but they sent it to me and it was like 110 that day. I open the box up, I'm like, okay, this is the product. Okay, it's a butt, cool. I go to pick it up by the butt, cheeks, and it literally pulled apart. And I wasn't sure. Yeah, I wasn't sure at this point if it was TPE or silicone. And so I contacted the company. I'm like, hi, literally, I opened the box, grabbed the butt, went to lift it underneath, like with both hands, my fingers went into it. Like I don't have long fingernails, but it just pulled apart. It's kind of weird. I sent them photos. I sent them everything. I picked it up the day that it arrived, and they sent me a new product, and they were really cool about it. And the thing that I respect with companies is if they're willing to listen, willing to hear you, and just support. Like, yeah, sometimes things are weird. Sometimes you get a weird faulty product. Sometimes you have weather conditions. I've seen reviews on other companies where, yeah, I was out of town. The mailman put it on my bottom step and it rained, and then it ruined the product. And
Yeah,
that's
that happens
crazy.
a lot.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and for
I've seen
me,
something like that.
yeah, and for me, it's a really interesting thing because people always ask me, "Is this worth the money? Is this worth the money?" Because I've received Iravenus, Tantalus, I've received a lot of brands. I haven't paid for any of them, but I essentially work for them in a way. So I can review things on the user end and cinematography and photos because I also do tons of photos. I do product shots. I do a lot of things for them. And so I can say, if you're a filmer, this doll's skin tone is really nice with contrasting light. I could say, if you're looking to use photography and use these dolls in a way, the darker skin ones are harder for contrast light. Or if you're trying to do neon stuff, the paler the skin, the more RGB type of skin tone will be more accepting to it. And because there's a lot of different depth to using it. Not everyone is like sexual with it. Some people have a romanticized version. Some people have a more cozy, like companion side. And there's a lot of different just uses for it. I've been asked, is it good to cuddle with? Is it good to sit with? Is it good to, a bunch of stuff? And it's not always sexual. It's wholesome, sexual. Are they a good listener? Like it's a wide variety of questions that I get. And I think that companies, while they do a decent job with tutorials, the cleaning is kind of ambiguous because they say between 2 to 3 uses. But in my opinion, I think as soon as you're done. That's not convenient, but that's my personal opinion. And what I find with the community is everyone has different opinions, which is good, which means everyone has their own individual needs and wants and standards for things, which is good. Everyone is an individual. But I think companies kind of blanket slate it like this, and it goes, this is how you do it. You guys talk to yourself. You guys figure it out. It's like Bethesda with paid mods. They're like, we made a product, you guys figure it out. And yeah, it's really interesting to see the individualism within all of it, since everything is so customizable. And yeah,
Sounds to me you had like a bad experience with TP. I think it sounds like TP.
Natalie says you're all crazy.
Yeah, that's to be expected. So on the doll forum, there was this like mishap where somebody ordered a doll with like a heating function inside, and apparently there wasn't like a fail safe going on. So that person like stuck the doll into the power net, and then eventually after like a half an hour, the thing disintegrated or something.
If it was TPE, yeah.
I don't remember if that one was TPE or silicon. I thought it was TPE, but that's why I think when you were talking about the butt thing, I think it was TPE. That's what I think at least. Yeah. But it's funny that we talk about this area because, of course, I'm the YouTuber that really tries to, put the aspect of the cardboard box in place. It's something that I take pride in with showing the people how something from China comes over to the Netherlands because it's a very long time to get here. I think it's cool. Like, for example, we have Game Lady and I think Iron Tech did the same thing after I pleaded them to send me. Well, they sent me something and I said, please put in. What they do now for me is a bolt through the cardboard box with 2 planks of wood.
Yeah.
So one
Zelix has been doing that for a long time. Yeah, it's about time. Yeah.
Do you know who started that? That's me, bro. I'm not joking.
Oh, cool.
I'm the one who started that shit because we know I'm not trying to throw Zalex or Game Lady under the bus, but I think everybody already knows that they're kind of the same factory and kind of the same business thing. Yeah. So, sorry if this is spoiler alert for somebody or if Zalex get mad at me. Sorry. But, the thing with the whole Tifa video, I mean, not to keep going back on that, but that was the thing that really made me happy. I was telling them over the email in the video, like, please do something to make this go better, because it's not your fault that it's going wrong. You make a very good product, and I'm in love with the whole art and the sculpting and everything. I can't wait to have this immaculate in my building, put it up on display, and make a video for everybody to see, because you guys are great, and so many brands are. But if you don't listen to me and I say that there are couriers out there or customs that just don't give a fuck about what is in the box, please just put the wooden planks in there.
You have no idea. You have no idea how many dolls have come to my house.
Yeah, exactly.
Where the
Crooked
fucking
neck or
box is
broken feet
upside
or
down
yeah.
in their truck.
I
Yeah.
hate that shit. It's just so horrendous, and it pains me so much. So every single time when there is a company, a vendor, or a brand that listens to me to put that wooden plank in on the outside, wooden plank on the inside, bolt through, screw it into the neck, you're pretty much done with not doing anything with the body anymore, because it can't go anywhere. So the neck is going to be straight. The feet is a different thing. You could always put in more foam, of course, but there have been mishaps on my YouTube channel where you can clearly see that couriers just don't give a fuck, and that pisses me off. So,
No. And they get paid really well for that too, and they don't care.
Yeah. I think we all just want to help. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the biggest goal that I have, and it's something that I noticed right away, is that with the doll videos, you have two different audiences. But when I started, it seemed like mostly one. You have men looking for reviews. But a lot of the videos were not comfortable for men. Like, it was mostly man forward, unless you're gay or bi or whatever it is. But if I was sent a product, let's say if it was a Tifa 2.0, if I look on Pornhub, I'm like, is that good? And the video is just guy balls the whole time. I can't really see it. Like, I'm not looking for him. I'm not looking for RebelDrifter. And so I'm like trying to find it.
I am. RebelDrifter is the bomb.
Yeah. And I'm trying to see it. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to see if this product looks good, because I can't trust online photos. So for me, when I film, it's the same thing I want this to appeal to women, so that women could be cool with like their spouse buying it, or even intrigue women into it, and also normalize it, because I see a lot of male solo artists do their solo thing. But I think incorporating these products, I want to kind of slowly introduce things so that the shock isn't there. And if they enjoy my content, they like stuff that I do, maybe they would like their significant other to do that. Maybe they'd like to incorporate that in some kind of way. And for me, the way that I film is, let's say if all of us are creators that make that kind of content, if you see my video and you see the full product, you see it shot well, you see mostly the product and very little of me, there's not much to see, but you see mostly that, you can have a really good idea of how it looks in person. You can have a great idea of how it's maneuverable. And a lot of the issues I saw when I started was that the videos were not like product shots. They were personal films that were posted online, but not product shots. And I think that's why companies really tend to kind of explore different creators, because I think nowadays creators are getting more creative and less self-indulgent, because you want to sell something. And it doesn't need to be money that you're trying to make. You can sell something to get the attention. It's an exchange. If I put effort into filming, if I put effort into lighting, if I put effort into the viewer, then that is rewarding, because I get your time. I get your belief that this is a good product. But if I just quickly take my iPhone and just do like 4 of these, and you just see my big beer belly, you're not going to think the product is good. You're like, that's weird. You want like a good intentional thing. And I think that's the biggest contribution that I'm trying to make, is that whether you're a guy or a girl, if you're a girl, you can enjoy it because it's sexual. But if you're a guy, you can see what that product is like. And it's sort of just which is how I found like most of my fan base is women, but there are guys that watch and ask me questions, which is exactly what I want. Because if I'm trying to help a company sell products, the male audience is the majority of the purchasing people. That's most of them.
Yeah, no, women are very slim, are going to buy these
small.
dolls. Yeah.
Right. And the thing that I see is that when I see female content creators have them in videos, I see cool, but like I'm not here for that.
I like to make my dolls look as not necessarily realistic as I can, but in a natural environment and look. A lot of the new photographers that I'm seeing are using the AI technologies, and I absolutely hate it. I mean, no, I mean, okay. I mean, I don't hate it because I like some of the AI generated, like anime stuff and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to true doll photography, I think the challenge in my book is to take a doll like this and pose her in a way that when I take a picture of her, she may not look human. She has an allure to her that creates an image that is unique. And when people see it, they go, "Oh, I know that. I know that doll." I think that just taking random photos. I mean, I do it a lot because I'm a camera fanatic, and I have lots of cameras. I mean, it's funny that I'm using a freaking webcam when I've got so many cameras. I just
Send me one. Send me a free
I've got
one.
so many cameras. It's stupid. It's stupid how many cameras I have.
Send me one.
But anyway,
John, you know who you are? I have one word to like make you whole. You're authentic. You're not fake with your pictures and all that stuff. You're authentic. That's what I like. Yeah, continue.
yeah, I like to take a raw doll. I would accept a company to just send me a doll, just anything, and say, "This is our ugliest doll. Let's
Go
see."
ham. Yeah, make
let's
pictures. Yeah.
let's see what you can do with it. And I would accept that challenge. You know what I mean? Because my first top fire that I have, and her name is Sammy. I absolutely love this doll. And I get comments all the time like, "Oh, that head's ugly. I don't like that head. I don't like that head." And I'm like, to each their own. I like the head. And I have many dolls, like I've told you before, many dolls. And each doll that I have, it depends on the angle that you place their head. It depends on the pose they're in. It depends on the lighting that makes that doll look good or not look good. And the cool part about photography, I think, is learning what makes a doll look good in a photo compared to what makes a doll look fake or stupid in a photo.
AI. Yeah.
Yeah, and I see lots of pictures on Instagram and you name it, it's all around the internet of people taking just random snapshots of their dolls. And I just shake my head and I go, "It's a great looking doll, don't get me wrong, but it's not the best pose. It's not
I'm
the best."
guilty of that. Yeah, I sometimes do the minimum effort to just show people like this is how it is, and sure. So I'm guilty of that. I understand. But what do you think of then companies that make pictures and also put the factory photos on? But there are companies also that use AI pictures that looks nothing like the finished product.
We I don't want to bring it up, but I'm going to. I am staff over at the forum.
Ooh.
And we do police to an extent, yes, the AI problem. And some of these manufacturers that I have dolls with started out, unfortunately, with this AI issue where they have taken photos of their dolls and they have AI enhanced them.
But in how far? Like you have
Like quite a bit. Like
yeah,
quite a
you
bit,
have like you have like touch-ups, like a little bit more hair, a little bit lighter skin, makeup and
Yeah.
that stuff. I don't think that's necessarily super bad. I mean, it's still fake, of course, and people can see through it, like you and I think everybody here in the chat. But there are even companies that put these pictures where it looks nothing like the doll when
It
when you
isn't.
see the
It
factory
isn't.
photos.
It isn't
I'm like,
anything. It isn't anything
how?
like the doll.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
isn't anything like the doll. And for example, one of my first dolls, and this is kind of touching on what Omen was talking about, with the TPE, the melting issue.
Yeah, I'm melting.
I
She should
got
have been green like a witch.
yeah,
Oh my god.
my first Fun West that I got was sent to me dead heat in the middle of summer, 120-degree plus weather on a freaking boat.
Goddamn.
Yeah. And when it got here, it was when they put them in the box, they put the foam between the legs. Well, where it was pressing against the foam had left like marks on the insides of the legs. It took me ages to get rid of it with lots of, mineral oil treatments and stuff like that. But the whole thing boiled down to was, that's where you're at when it comes to that. When they ship you dolls, it's you just don't know. Could be 100. Could be negative 20. I live in frickin' Michigan. It's going to be negative 15, negative 20 this winter. And if they send me a doll, who knows what happens? Probably not much to the silicone, but to the skeleton,
Yeah, I think at least, yeah, everyone in here in this call, I think what creators do the best is picking up the information gap from, what vendors and manufacturers leave out, just because they can't address every use case. So, there's tons of reasons to buy a doll, and, probably manufacturers won't have like information about, how this doll looks for, photography or maybe like intimacy stuff, like right on their website. And what creators do is they show, all that information. So it's kind of it's a good ecosystem in that.
Well, a lot of these manufacturers lately, anyways, like FunWest, for example, have hired a very, very good photographer to do their promotional. Yeah, the promotional photos are fantastic.
So I think that's what creators do is they show that gap, or they get their hands on and tell you the real deal, so you don't end up making that mistake yourself. Which is
Should
important.
we have like mandatory factory photos for every brand on every website? That if you have like multiple beauty shots, and then also have at least 1 or 2 factory photos.
Yeah, I have no problem. I have no problem with those freaking horrible cell phone photos that the manufacturer posts.
No, I don't.
I
give
really
a F
have no
either.
problem with it.
Yeah.
I would almost prefer it.
I was also part of like Arrow Venus too. I knew OmenBunny from there. I'm not sure if he kind of noticed me or not.
I might have.
But it was actually Arrow Venus when they were still called Love Nestle that I found out about the whole where China coined a term KOC, which is key opinion consumers, and they value these just as much as they value like kind of like the social media influencer content creators, and the KOCs are actually just kind of like your everyday users, basically customer feedback, customer reviews, and that's kind of how I kind of stumbled upon like kind of getting close with kind of like SE doll, because I was one of those just randomly, every day when I'm home, I'll pose my doll in a certain way and I'll just like snap a shot just because I think she looks cute. Never intended for it to be anything more than that. And then I would just kind of post it on TDF at the time. Eventually, when I started having issues with my doll, with like her spine breaking and stuff, their rep over in TDF, which she uses different names wherever she's on, because in Discord she goes by Alice, and then in TDF she goes by Barbara or something like that.
Yeah.
And they mentioned to me that they know who I am, And I'm like, huh, that's strange. And why? And then and it was because I was posting. At the time, I was one of the only ones who was consistently posting photos of one of their dolls, and that's kind of how they took notice of me. And that's also why when my doll had the whole TPE ball coming out of her tunnel, and that's why they sent me a free replacement a sample of their STPE dolls that was coming out, and they told me I could choose whichever one I want, whatever options I want. And that's kind of how I got their 157 centimeter queen head, and that's kind of how I got her. And she's been part of my whole taking photography line. Every once in a while, I'm still just kind of like having my main model, which is my first doll. I'm still just mostly shooting her, just because I like her so much. But that's how I got really close to SE. So these consumers who they view, they call KOC, is actually very important to the whole process of selling dolls to the community. And with similar to what Brian mentioned, I, as kind of like this average Joe photographer who just takes photos because I like my dolls, I do answer a lot of questions coming from like customers who are in the Discords or even on Reddit, and they would ask me tons of questions, and I would try my best to answer all of them. And it's almost like I'm doing work for for the manufacturer.
Unpaid work.
Absolutely.
Unpaid work.
Yeah.
Because I would
Yeah.
spend hours just kind of like replying to their questions, like hours and hours. I would
They're
spend
doing
like
you
the whole-
dirty, bro.
I would spend the whole night doing it too.
Yeah.
And if someone actually goes through with buying like a doll from whichever manufacturer they're asking me about, I would just be like, hey, could you drop like could you drop out my name or something, give me a call out or something. Every once in a while they do. Some I just never hear back from after they get like all the information they need. But that's kind of how KOCs, as the Chinese call us, kind of like use us in a way.
Let me tell you now, for everybody that has not said anything to you anymore, we appreciate you and we value your time.
Yes. I think that I think there are good intentions, but I think companies have a false idea of what it does. I think there are companies that are like, we'll get a hot chick to promote this item and it'll sell, which I think is completely wrong. I think it's not true at all. And I think the promotional videos with women, unless it's with a male partner, you want to show them what you can do. And I don't think having a woman with a torso doll or a full body just kind of hugging it makes anyone want to buy that, because you don't have that interactivity. You're not seeing you in that situation. You're not a hot
unless
model.
somebody's like looking to cuddle with it. Yeah,
Exactly.
like that.
So-
But it's just like one piece of the market. Yeah.
Right.
I
There are
mean,
butter
look,
knives
I
that
do
make
the
you think
unboxing, of course, from all the women on the YouTube. As far as I see the data, it's all men that come towards my, I think I might have like 1 or 2% women. I've never had any accessories, but the funny thing is, like I have contact with Jackie from Moondall, which is also a perfect person, and he actually sent me like a message like, we should maybe send you a dude doll. Are you open for that? I'm like, well, I like women. I like
Yeah.
women. I have a wife. We've been together for more than 20 years, but I would be an asshole and not fair against the women who might show up on my YouTube channel by not unboxing a dude. It would be cool if he would look like Arnold Schwarzenegger and could deck him out with like an M60 or whatever, But I mean, it's weird. We didn't go with it eventually. I think he was like, maybe let's not do that now. But I mean, sure, I'm
Yeah.
open for it, but I have no clue what that would do. But I think it's funny to hear Omen that there's like so many women figures going towards his content, which is
I
really
have
cool.
mostly.
Yeah,
I think
that's
my
surprising.
my geographic is, I think, 97% women.
So
insane.
tell us, Omen, because we're men and we want to know.
We're
Yes.
grasping at straws.
Do
here.
you think women are putting like inserts with penises into these female dolls and using them?
No, It's a tax.
No, they just buy torso with a penis on there.
They're not
Exactly.
using them. All right.
Well, here's what I think. I think that there are people, and by people I mean companies, which are the same thing, that they go to websites like Rule 34, or they watch porn, which
Anime,
would never do that.
Or anime,
And
yeah.
and they'll see things that are like, oh, here's this blue chick with 5 wings on it. We'll make a doll like that. That got a lot of
yeah.
upvotes. And I think there's a strange disconnect with that, because there are fantasy, like people like the Na'vi stuff, like Avatar, but with all the type of
I
things,
think it's
that-
ugly.
yeah. However, you know what would sell like fucking crazy that no one's ever made? Just make a red one, like a succubus one. If you make one red one, that'd sell like crazy, because you have so many.
There is a guy. There's a guy on the
Dolls got
forum that
like
has
dolls got
one.
some,
Yes.
Yeah. And that's like a really crazy like idea, because you've seen so many popularized things. Like there's Tifa, obviously. You have anime, you have cartoons, you have a lot of different things, to where when you look at women don't. And here's something very important to take away. I get messages like, hey, I don't feel comfortable filming like in the future for like products, but can I get them for free if I film? And I usually say yes. If you are well with filming, and if you're consistent, yeah, you might get a product sent for free. And the thing that I tell them, they say, well, my wiener's not huge. And I go, well, I feel you. But the thing is, if you look at women and what products they buy, they don't buy male dolls because they use their hands. They use small toys. So if anything, if you got a small little thing, you're right exactly where you should be. You know what I mean? Like, don't feel insecure if we have all these.
Rebel no shaking his head like, I don't know.
Yeah, no. Well, I think that
penis.
it's good what you say. No, but what he's touching on, I think it's weird, because I did have like a couple of stray comments on my YouTube channel that said, well, I'm a woman, I buy male dolls, so why are you not unboxing them? I want to see them, and blah, blah, blah. So it's funny that you're saying that, Omen. That's just, it's weird for me.
I think a majority of my audience is, because they're women, they tend to enjoy the way that I film, and that they don't need an outside perspective. They just kind of use themselves as a thing, because that's a different thing. When you have someone that uses their own body to pleasure, that's a fulfillment and a independent personal experience. But when you have a doll, your eyes are open, you know what I mean? And you have a role play situation going on.
Right.
So I think those are two different audiences. You have
Oh,
someone
wait. So can I touch up on this? Like, so for example, you have woman A, and she buys a female doll. She thinks that's cool to look at. She gets hot from it. She plays with herself, and then she's done. And what would woman B do then with like a specific scenario?
I think that the audience for that is, women get most enjoyment out of a collective experience. Like women are more likely to buy that kind of doll if it's a social thing with their partner. A lot of women like a sort of pseudo jealousy situation, or to kind of make themselves a little flustered in a way that isn't real.
I can touch upon something else. All right. So there's this doll, right? I do remember which company it is, but I don't know if I want to like just throw that out there. But there's like a suction hoo-ha downstairs, and you have an app, right? And if you say to, for example, if I wanted to get intimate with this doll, and I say to my wife, well, my wife is going on a business trip for maybe a month or whatever. She's not, but let's just go with it. And I say
29 days.
Exactly. She could go into that app, go into a chat room with me and say, well, go stick your hoo-ha in that doll, and then I'll control the waveform or the thing that goes with suction and the vibrating.
Wow.
Yeah. You never heard of this, you guys?
I did have one that had a vocal box and a suction thing, and it sounded like my vacuum stalled.
Nice. But did it work? That's the question.
Did it work? Yes, but then like I think that's another thing. People online see electronic devices and they're like, great. However, I've used like 13 of them, and none of them are the exact motion you want. Because when you're close, which is like 30 seconds into the full minute, you're like, okay, I want it kind of like this. Well, kind of like this. Well, kind of like this, to where there's no perfectly automated thing that does that. And you have the ones that you could use a touchpad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
With it, and those
everything.
are cool. However, they're not the same thing. Because also too, when you finish, if you hit the off button, it feels like you're on a roller coaster, and you fly off, hit your monitor, but
you have to time it. Yeah, that's your own thing. Yeah.
And I feel like that's completely unnecessary. I feel like it's a gimmick because you use it once and you're done. You're never going to use that same thing again.
Yeah, I guess just to bring a difference, like they're actually quite involved in like the manufacturing and business side of it. Like if you go to any factory, I mean, I would say on average, like half the staff is women. They seem to be better at the, getting the finer details right. Like definitely like implanting of hair or like shaving off the excess silicone or TP when it comes out of the mold. Very seem to be better at that. So yeah, I would just add that they're quite involved. And then on like the, what you guys mentioned, you're talking to these reps from the brands. A lot of times they're women as well, or like the girls that run the Discords or are active on the forum. So I don't really have any, conclusion or insight on why that might be, but they definitely seem to be involved and happily employed on the manufacturing side.
Yeah, it seems like sales reps, especially more women that I talk to. I had a very special one at Real Lady. Her name was Paige Lynn, but eventually I heard she went to Australia. So she said goodbye to me because we had like months or at least weeks and months of communication through WhatsApp. But it's funny, she told me as well that most of the sales reps, especially on WhatsApp and Discord and everything, are women, like you said. And apparently it's like a very easy step up to still make money, still do something that could be pretty cool because you're contacting people and you're trying to get your English on hand and all that stuff. And then eventually they do dip out and go somewhere else because they eventually have the funds or whatever.
So and actually I think on like the more manufacturing side, it's a great job if you have training in because in many ways, like the technicians are like artists, they're creating hair from, they're creating a hairstyle and by implanting each one. And it's a lot of micro tasks and could be hard, but like they are artists in many ways. It's a great employment for people that are like trained as beauticians or artists. And, it's a great way for them to monetize those skills in a unique way.
Pretty sure everyone knows if they're familiar with like my username, MiraiChobits. They pretty much know that I'm a huge fan of SE dolls. Been from the start. My favorite doll is an SE doll. STP, by the way. I don't think she loses to silicone dolls in beauty. I think she's a great model. But SE doll's definitely one of my favorite.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, say some manufacturer or someone wants me to be like exclusive, the only one who could ask me that, and I would agree, would be SE dolls. So
yeah, I have one of their new pro lines with the one of their new elf heads, and I really have to say I have to agree with you. When I opened the box and looked at that, SE really went the extra mile. I mean, the seams were perfect. It's a really nice doll.
Is it the Ariana doll?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think, I think their newest one hasn't been released yet. But yeah.
Sounds like I'm missing out.
Fantastic doll. Seriously, really is. I was amazed at the amount of attention to detail the company went to when they made the doll. I mean, a lot of companies you got. When they center the skeleton in the foam section into the mold, a lot of them use a wire, and you end up with a spot right there when they separate the mold. I can't find a spot. I can't find nothing. The seam is just the only bad seam on my SE Pro line is the wrist, where the hard meets the soft. Other than that,
the sock, yeah.
Yeah, other than that, the rest of the doll is absolutely flawless. The multiple pore soft silicone vagina, if you're sexual, like I'm sure Omen is like to die for. I bring up the new SE Pro line all the time, so I know exactly what Michael's talking about. Fantastic. Seriously, really good dolls. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I echo SC Doll as well. They do a great job, and it's, like product wise as well, but also just engagement with the community. I mean, like they're very active, and like their own Discord servers too is probably the most active I've seen, and they're super responsive. So, and then the team itself, the boss,
Very friendly, very
yeah,
friendly
really,
people.
they run a great company. Every time I go there, I just really, I just leave feeling good because they really treat you well, and they're happy, and they're optimistic, and they're just looking to do better. So
We need to do a collab, Brian. I hear this. Yeah, we need to do this. Yeah.
yeah. I can put you in touch if you want. I guess.
Perfect.
Hey, don't be jumping in front of me. I'm gonna be friends with Brian before this is over with.
And then
copy that. I'll
they
stand in
also try
line.
different things too. Like they've got the Fun West, and then they got the Lily Doll brand.
Oh
And
yeah,
then there's one other one. I forget what it's called, but
absolutely.
yeah. I think their photography is really good. That definitely sets them apart as far as when you're browsing a website.
No, their dolls are fantastic. I have a 2.0. Was it like the 156 or something? A cup or whatever it is. That is one of my favorite dolls right now. She is absolutely amazing. The skeleton is smooth. Every joint is even. It's got the multiple pore vagina. It's a good overall doll for everybody.
Man,
I had a Cami Fun West doll, which was, I think, also TP, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I have a Cami. I have Cami. I love that doll. TP.
Same.
Yep.
Nice.
We have 5 videos with it.
Yeah.
oh wow.
So, yeah. So my question is, are we saying exclusively full body?
No, I don't think
It
so.
doesn't have to be that. No.
Because that's one thing I've noticed, that some people have a divide. They're like, torsos don't count. These are good. These, that kind of thing.
Yeah, some people do feel
You
that
know,
way.
I'm not a big torso fan, but I have
Right.
worked with Aero Venus, and I do
Right.
have a couple torsos, but I mean, I like the arms, I like to pose them and stuff. So, but overall, I think that Aero Venus or Love Nestle, like they were before, fantastic torsos. If that's what you're looking for, something you can tuck under the bed. Oh, absolutely. Awesome.
Or outside of Halloween, I think would be good. But I think it really depends, because you have the tricky thing is you have 2 different ways of choosing. You have usage from the top and bottom, which like the head or below. I think that it's tricky, because I think Euro Venus have better ROS heads, but I think
Really?
Fun West has better aesthetics, and I think the look is much better. And I think that the facial sculpting is much better from Fun West, and I think that there's a lot going for them aesthetically.
Yeah, I find that the Fun West dolls are more cartoonish. Do
they're
you
more
think
petite.
too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're more petite in a cartoony kind of way.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you wouldn't be
Yeah.
that tall, that petite. But it's in a way that I think Euro Venus, though, when it comes to the lower usage, feels more real.
Voluptuous, yeah.
It feels very firm, which is, realistically, that's how that would be. However, Fun West, I've noticed, like, if you're at just the wrong angle, it'll just like balloon up, and there's a lot of give to it, kind of a thing. But it's tricky, because I think I'll have to split it. I'll think heads, Euro Venus, torso, body, otherwise Fun West.
Yeah, not to like hate on everybody here in the chat, but everybody has their own experience with the things that they actually own. And there's still so
Right.
much stuff around in the planet, around the world, that we have not touched upon. So it's actually very difficult to make something very definitive if you don't know everything.
Right.
So yeah, it's
Everyone would have
difficult.
had to experience the exact same thing.
The companies that send me the most, I'll say that they're the best, of course. I mean, I understand that, of course. I'm just joking.
Is it
I've got-
Rosemary?
Yeah, no, that's one of the vendors that actually works with me, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. No, I've got this. This lady right here, which is a IDO doll, or the I do doll. Doll Detective already knows that I like jiggle physics. We coined that phrase right there. I like the bounce and the jiggle and the wiggle of the chest. So I'm a breast man. I really, really love that. And IDO or IDO doll is one of the better companies that really has that soft, wobbly chest, together with MMX doll as well. I don't know if you guys actually know MMX doll, Mamuxi. Really cool brand as well, but for me, it's just, it's too much. I've got, like I said, the ladies behind me here. I've got the Top Fire AI head doll right there on an MMX doll body, and then I have the MMX doll head, which is Anne Hathaway kind of looking like. It's that one right there.
I see it.
And it's actually on a Nyanta doll body because I like to, switch it around a little bit. And right next to that in the black clothing is actually Talia, which is a Tifa lookalike from Topside Doll, which is also really nicely made. And then, of course, like everybody has said in the chat, superb contact and also very good make of Arrow Venus. I've got multiple torsos and multiple heads upstairs in the other room. It's just too much to call, actually. There's so much stuff that's really good, but if you go look at specific brands that are also older, so for example, not to like throw Game Lady under the bus or anything, but I have the Tifa doll that came in damaged. That was all like a little bit more harder, and I don't mean that negative, but for me who wants to see the chest wobble, it's very difficult to see. For even example, a Real Lady, also very soft, but there are many companies that now are trying to understand or see that they're going to use the super soft stuff, which seems to be like more wobbly, which is what I love. So, for me, I'm like a kid in a candy shop just waiting for another company or another iteration of a doll from a known company that I already have or own or everybody knows that has more chest wobble is what I'm waiting for. So, yeah, I mean, too many names to call. And Doll Detective already knows with the end credits from our interview that there's so many people that I could say they're so good. But, that if I say that now, we're going to sit here for another hour. So, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. There are so many brands now, like over the past few years. And as a consumer, it's better, you're spoiled but from choice. And there's so many, if you like this aspect, go with this brand. And so it's definitely hard to choose.
The Real Lady is getting
best
like
one.
so much steam. Like they're just killing it right now.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah.
Well, so some username MiraiChobits. Most of my photography is just amateur level, but I do try to like pose my doll really well. I'm trying to elicit like the feeling of kind of like first love whenever like you see you're passing by like a girl or something and she catches your eyes and you do like a double take, turn your head twice to take a look at her. That's kind of what I'm going for. And if it makes sales, for the company that the doll I'm using, I'm photographing for, great. If other people ask questions about, come to me to ask questions about the doll, great. But that's really what I'm just trying to do. I'm just trying to capture the moment of that feeling of like first love, and that's all I'm doing as kind of like a sex doll content creator, I guess.
Which we love and we thank you for.
You need to, you need to enjoy taking the photos. The end result needs to be enjoyable to you. It doesn't matter what anybody else feels about your photos. And that's what I had to learn the hard way. And I appreciate the fact that you're a photographer of the dolls, and I hope everything works out well for you. And in fact, I hope you get a hold of me on Discord or something. I'm John1972. Yeah. I would love to see your photography.
Yeah.
John the best. Woo!
Yeah. I mean, I do with my photography. I do take it just for me. None of what I do is inherently for like anyone else. A lot of the inspiration for my poses come from being an anime fan. So even now, I just kind of like put a doll into a pose from to replicate the anime figurine that I had lying around. So I'm hoping to get it finished by the end of this week.
Cool.
And that's how it should be. It's exactly. This whole industry boils down to enjoyment. Not just for you, but for everybody around you. That's what it's about.
I could not agree more. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh God.
We're going alphabetical.
Oh, sure. Okay, well, fine. I'll humor you guys. Well, this idiot right here, RebelDrifter, I'm just a YouTuber. I do everything on feeling. Everything regarding the dolls for me is pure art. I love how they're sculpted. I love how they're made. I might not know everything there is to know about that, but thankfully we have a whole cast of people here that do. I love all these people right here. I love people surrounding this whole community. I always have at least one doll on display right next to me here in my PC area that if people come over and it might be strangers, I don't give a fuck. People need to see how beautiful, how gorgeous, how nice everything is. If be it naked or be it clothed, it doesn't matter. I think everything is just really cool about everything around it. The sales reps, the brands, the vendors, the people surrounding everything. It's just really cool. And what I just want to showcase to people is how something comes in, how it looks, vice versa, or against something that has been made glamorous. And yeah, I really hope that I help people make decisions, especially when you can only spend your money once and that you don't get disappointed. And, like I said, the more I get, the more I love everything. And it's not that I'm being greedy, but I just love what I do. I have amazing fun meeting people, unboxing stuff, getting to know vendors and brands and everything. And, it makes me feel alive. So thank you guys for having me. And thank you guys for checking my stuff out. Yeah. Next.
Take off your pants.
Never.
I don't know what he said, but he said he looked good saying it.
Guess first of all, thanks Doll Detective for organizing this. Been super, and everyone else for showing up. Nice to meet you all. And I definitely seen some of you guys' names in the community before. So nice to see your faces or a mask. Cool mask, by the way.
You have a
yeah, and it's been super interesting listening to all you guys' perspectives because it's not every day that get to hear these kind of perspectives. It's usually just recently, the past year, just sitting in the factory and trying to guess what customers might want next or stuff like that. So you guys seem to have the attention of the customers in a way because you guys are like trustworthy figures and just your stories about hearing all the questions and comments from prospective customers. And I think it's a really valuable line of communication if we can, keep having whatever these conversations and just information exchanges. So yeah, it's been super, super cool to talk to you guys. And so thank you. And I guess my whole thing as I start out is just like a small business project. Maybe if I make this website like 10 years ago, it can maybe sell some of these products and make some money. But as I got to know the customers better and got to know the products better, it's kind of been this super cool journey of combining like technology, human psychology, and business. And I think it's a really cool space to be. And the future just seems to be getting more interesting as stuff gets better. So it's kind of taken me on this journey from where I was in the US with this little website to kind of, spending time in the factories now and hoping to create some of my own products and get closer to these vendors and help them improve and learn from them as well. So, and also just get better information that I can pass along to customers. So never thought I'd end up in China 10 years later, but so far it's been super cool. And nice to meet more people in the community. And the industry is definitely growing and feels like a lot of the companies are at the same sort of spot right now, kind of all competing with similar types of things. But every now and then you see someone come up with something new, and there's definitely so many new factories working on the problems. So I think it's just a matter of time before we see some more big breakthroughs. So very excited.
Send him a plane ticket and send me a doll. But do you actually have a specific favorite brand or anything?
Yeah, those ones we mentioned. I guess one that wasn't mentioned, newer one. I mentioned them before, but I really like MD Doll these days. MD Doll. You've probably seen them. They release like a new head like every week. They're kind of rapid fire. But I think they've got a team of the people they've come from like past brands to kind of set them up and then So they've got a lot of expertise, and I think they do the lip area very, very interesting. And so that's one I think one to watch.
I think that it's been a really crazy adventure, I guess you could say. But the biggest impact that I'm trying to have is just the sexual inclusion of women being more tolerant and educated on men's fantasies, but also the idea that you can be accepting and you can be interested, and that the worst thing you can do for someone is to judge them. We're exploring toys and options and fun, harmless things that don't put any pressure on human beings. I view it very similarly to boys with action figures. We grew up and now we have different interests. And I think that there are so many different mediums, extreme interests, collection, casual, and that they're all different. I genuinely hope to be a positive influence and a safe male presence for women and men. I found that talking to fans and people, a lot of people kind of gravitate to sexual expression because it's private, because publicly they've been annexed. And I hope to be comforting in some kind of way. And I think that while every asset of any, like even fast food, can have negatives, I think that with regulation of yourself and your own expectations, positive things could come from it, and just be safe and healthy and considerate. And that's what I think.
The dolls have been made for many different types of people. You have the people that just want them for sexual use. You have them for the people that like photography, and then you have them for special people. And I think what moves me the most, and the one word would be compassion, would be for those people that simply cannot find love. These dolls fulfill that for them. Yeah, it's not just about how they're made. It's not just about, the material they're made from. It's about how they make people feel, and about how they fulfill something in particular people that these particular people can't find in real people. And that's what makes me happy. And that's what makes me move forward in this doll community, is to see happy people with their dolls for whatever reason.